Grace and I are really excited about what we're about to make. We've worked on this several times, and it's a basic chocolate. This recipe is just a basic chocolate cake, and we're going to make it so that we make a layer cake. But what we're going to do with that chocolate cake is what's so special.
We eat it.
We're going to eat it. Yeah, one of the things I've been trying to make low carb is a Hershey Bar cake. My husband loves those. If you've ever heard of a Hershey Bar cake, or if you haven't heard of a Hershey Bar cake, basically, you know what I'm talking about? Grandmama makes them for Daddy. Mm-hmm. It's a layer of chocolate cake, and in between are these creamy layers, and it's got bits of Hershey Bar. And Hershey Bar is not necessarily low carb. And so we've made this, we're gonna make a Sukrin bar cake instead of a Hershey Bar cake, but this is the foundation for the chocolate cake. And the reason we're doing this as a separate video is, so you can make the Copycat Hershey Bar cake like a Sukrin bar cake, but you can also use a yummy, what's the other icing we made? Do you remember?
Peanut butter.
Yeah, I made a yummy peanut butter buttercream frosting. That was delicious. And so once you have kind of the basic chocolate cake recipe, you can do all kinds of things with it. So we're doing the chocolate cake today. So here are 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream. And Grace, if you'll just put the apple cider vinegar in it. And I need to check, but I'm pretty sure that's just one tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And we're just gonna set this aside, okay? Because it's gonna get added last. So I'm gonna set it aside. Once you put the apple cider vinegar in the cream, it makes like a buttermilk. It all kind of starts tucking and gelling. And so we're gonna let it sit over there and get social. A little party. Okay, let's actually do our dry ingredients next. And I've got almond flour. You gonna do it? I've got almond flour. That's 2 cups of almond flour. The almond flour, and this is actually a conglomerate. We've made 3 different chocolate cake recipes, and this is the one we like the best. And we keep the almond flour to a minimum because of the carbs. I think there's about 24 carbs in 1 cup, total carbs, because we count total. And so that would be 48 carbs just so far in this recipe, so we want to keep it low. We're going to use 3/4 of a cup of oat fiber. And what did you learn about oat fiber, Grace? Keep it low and not powder, remember? Yeah. Grace had dumped it in from a pretty high spot, and it went airborne and asphyxiated us a bit. So we've got in 3/4 of a cup of oat fiber. And that's a lot of oat fiber. I don't usually use that much oat fiber. But we're trying to, well, 2 things are happening. We're trying to cut down the carbs on the amount of almond flour, and we're trying to have a different texture. What's nice about chocolate cake is the cocoa powder brings a really great texture, and so I don't have to worry so much about the almond flour. I can use the oat fiber. So it was 2 cups of almond flour and 3/4 cup of oat fiber, and we're using Life Source oat fiber. I'll put the link in the video. That is 1/4 of a cup of coconut flour, and 1/4 of a cup of coconut flour is a lot, and it's a little bit higher in carbs, so we're gonna have to calculate this. I think I calculated 16 servings because this makes a really big layer cake. And then the other dry ingredient we're gonna add is 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder, and it's just unsweetened cocoa powder that Grace is adding. Okay, and what we're left with is a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We're using unsalted butter in this. I want to make sure I'm telling you guys the right thing. So yeah, it's 1/2 of a teaspoon of Celtic sea salt. We're going to use 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Baking powder. 2 teaspoons baking powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Yeah, and this cool whisk that we're using, Kay Shelton, one of my subscribers, sent this to us, and it's I'll have to look the name up again.
Dutch dough.
It's a bread whisk, and it is so neat. It's handmade, and it works really, really well as far as blending wet and dry ingredients. So I'm just incorporating it so it's not so heavy and it's mixed well, but I love this thing. And it's for like bread dough, like heavier dough that's not so sturdy. I'll put a link to it on Amazon in the comments, but we've really enjoyed it. I'm also using a 1/4 of a teaspoon, just a 1/4 teaspoon, you can put a little more, of instant coffee, and it's just a generic instant coffee, and that's to intensify the cocoa flavor. And that's all that goes in that part. And then we're going to add sweetener. Now I'm using 1.5 cups of Sukrin, and I did a blend. I did about a cup of Sukrin 1 and a 1/2 cup of Sukrin Plus. And so it's 1.5 of your preferred granulated sweetener. I'm going to throw that in so Grace can mix that. So get all your dry ingredients together. You're going to preheat the oven to 350. So our oven's at 350. And we're going to use a hand mixer in just a little bit. For now, Grace is just mixing that around. While she's doing that, I'm going to put in the wet ingredients. And I'm going to add, this is a full tablespoon of vanilla extract. Grace, can you get the butter out of the microwave? I put the butter in the microwave and forgot it. It's a full tablespoon. And if you'll grab the whisk while you're over there, it's a full tablespoon of vanilla extract and 7 eggs. Now, these are 7 pastured eggs. We've been trying to be more careful about pastured eggs. What I found is that they really are different when you're getting eggs from chickens that eat bugs. And so when we can, we get that. Oh, thank you. Did I about bump into you? You're having a hard time. You're clumsy. Yeah, I think you get that honestly. So I'm going to whisk up my eggs, 7 eggs, with a tablespoon of vanilla. And this is a cup of butter. And 1 cup of butter is equal to 8 ounces. So this is just a brick of unsalted Kerrygold that I put in the microwave and then forgot to put out before we started. I'm excited about this chocolate cake. I'm going to bake it as 3 8-inch pans, 3 8-inch pans, and I'm doing that for a reason, and I'll explain more about that. You can do these as cupcakes. You can do them as, you could probably do a sheet cake. I hadn't thought about that, but this makes a really pretty layer cake, and particularly if you're going to make the Hershey bar or the no Hershey bar, the Sukrin bar cake, then you're going to want to make the layers, and I'll explain more about that in just a bit. All right, Gracie, let's add this in, and we can use the beaters, the hand mixers, if we need them. You want to mix that, and then we'll add the rest. My goodness, that was attractive, wasn't it? And it was beautiful. You've got the spatulas there if you need them. It was hard to whisk. This bowl wasn't quite large enough. This is a really moist chocolate cake that I think you guys will really like. All right, let me add a little more of this. That butter is still warm. Yum. I mean, butter, eggs, chocolate. What more could you want, right?
Bacon. Hey, instead of Sukrin, you can put bacon in it.
There's an idea.
Chop up some bacon.
Okay, give that a bit of a stir. I'm going to grab some more liquid sweetener. The chocolate, I'm using a lot of cocoa, and we like it really rich. And the cocoa tends to require more sweetener than if you're making a vanilla cake. And so you're going to test it for sweetness. All right, let's add this in. Is it getting hard to do? And you see how chunky that got? It got chunky because of the apple cider vinegar. This is a really nice moist cake. It will be perfect for Father's Day, whether you use our peanut butter icing, and we have a video for our peanut butter icing already, but it'll be great whether you use it with the peanut butter or with the Hershey, the Sukrin bar. By the way, Hershey's does make a low-carb chocolate. We don't advocate using that because it has maltitol. Hang on, Grace, let me get in here with this. It has maltitol, and that can raise blood glucose. So I'm going to get around the edges. This whisk is great for mixing stuff, but I still haven't learned how to get around the edges with it. So I'm just going to do this real quick. And we could get the beater, the hand beater in there. Actually, why don't you do that, Grace? Why don't you mix it with that? I'm going to clean this off a bit, and then I'll see if we need liquid sweetener. Okay, do you mind doing that? We'll still probably need to go around the edges. There you go. Keep it down in there, sweetie, or you're gonna we'll have another blooper video if you don't. See how sweet it is. Man, that's really good already.
Yeah, it's really thick.
It is really thick, and that's okay. It should be. It's a cake batter. I'm going to add 4 drops of liquid sweetener. You can use stevia or whatever you prefer. Do you want me to do it? Okay. It's nice when Grace does it because it doesn't mess up the microphone quite as badly. I'm using 3 pans, and I'm cheating a little bit, and I'll explain why I'm cheating. These pans, what I normally would do is I would just do 2. And then after they cooled, I would slice them in half, and I would put icing, and then I put the other half and I put icing. I put the next half and I put icing, and I put the next half. So really you've got like 5 layers of icing, which is really yummy. But what's been difficult for me is slicing the cakes and getting it even. So I'm going to kind of take a cheater way here. I'm going to use the 3 cake pans, and they've been very well oiled with coconut oil. I'm going to use a third, a third, a third. They're going to be thinner, so it won't take quite as long to bake. Last time we did this, it took about 20 minutes. So I'm going to start checking it at 15 minutes. But then I don't have to slice them. So I have cake, I have a layer of icing, cake with a layer of icing, cake with a layer of icing. So I'm only going to have 3 layers of the icing, but that's okay. It turned out pretty good when we tried that last time. So that's what we're doing this time. Did you taste the batter? See if it's sweet enough? It only takes a little bit, doesn't it?
I don't know.
What do you think?
It's really good.
It is really good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. Sweet enough.
This, like I said, would be good, I think, as muffins too. Can you clean that up for me? So nice to have so much help. I think that Daddy wants to help clean the beaters.
I call one beater. You can have the other one.
Grace and David always fight over the beaters, and there are times when, in the bowl, and so there are times when I can't even get it in the pan to get it in the oven before these guys are fighting over it, or before they're cleaning it for me. All right, you guys go fight over that, and I'm gonna put this in the pan. I'm gonna eyeball it. I'm not too worried about it being perfectly in thirds. I'll do a big scoop here. And I want to make sure it's well mixed. Oops, there is some almond flour at the bottom or something, some flour mixture. I was afraid that would happen. I like to use these glass bowls when I can because they're so easy for you all to see. Here's another big scoop in this one. And we'll just get it all parceled out. So I'm going to basically divide this by 3, and I will smooth it down some. And what we know is that with low carb alternative flours, things don't they don't rise quite as much. We use eggs and we use baking powder and stuff like that, but it doesn't rise like traditional flours because you don't have the gluten. And so it is pretty much going to stay how you put it in the pan. So I think this will be about the batter we have for this one, just kind of eyeballing it to get them even. And you don't want to press it down. I'm very gently kind of spreading it. And probably what might be a good idea if you want to make sure it doesn't stick and you're having success, I could have lined these pans with parchment paper, and that would have probably been a smart thing to do. But we're going to try it like this, and we'll see how it works out. So I'm just going to continue with this, putting them in until it's all even. Whoops. Easier said than done. We'll put them in the oven. Remember, the oven is at 350, and we'll start checking it 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and put it together. Our cakes are done, and they only took about 15 minutes. Be careful. Our oven got turned a little higher than 350. We won't say by whom. But anyway, they got cooked a little higher than that, but I think they survived it. Basically, we got them out, and you can see they did rise a little bit. They smell incredible, don't they? They're hot. We've taken them out. We put them up on our cooling racks, and you can see they rose pretty well. When you're trying to figure out if it's done, take your hand and just tap it. It won't spring back, but if it sinks when you tap it, it's not done. So we're letting them cool just a bit, not long. We found the hard way, if you let them cool too long, they're gonna stick. And this is where I'm wishing I put parchment paper, inside. You know what happens with a crumb like that? What happens?
Get to eat.
We get to eat it.
The crumb's life.
We're gonna, hopefully it wasn't too early. Whoop. It's gonna crumble on me. It's okay. It did fall into a couple pieces there. It's too warm.
It'll
I
be
should
the
have
middle
waited.
layer.
It'll be the middle layer. That's right. You can usually hide those issues. Now, we'll let it cool like this because we can't put that frosting on it until it is cooled. But what we'll do, the good news is we don't have to worry about splitting it in half, but we'll wrap it up. So I'll get some saran wrap or some cling wrap, and we'll wrap it up because we don't want the moisture to escape. So we're gonna wrap it pretty tightly and let it cool until we're ready to work with it. So it smells amazing. You can see there's little bubbles where it did rise. We have a few crumbs. What do you think, Grace? You want to try
I
it?
already got my crumb.
You won't get to see us taste this until we put it in cakes. But we're going to link to 2 other videos. One is the peanut butter buttercream, and one is our Hershey Copycat, which is our Sukrin bar cake. And I wanted to mention again, this is from Kay Shelton, one of our subscribers. It's a Danish dough hook, and that's what we use. Danish dough hook, and it's what we use to mix up the batter, and it worked really well, as you can see. So I hope that if you make this chocolate cake for your family, that you will enjoy it too. And I hope that you go to our other videos, go to our other video for the Copycat Hershey Bar or the peanut butter buttercream. They're 2 of our favorites.